Imagine a man. He's low income. He only makes 50K a year from his job. He wakes up at around 6 a.m. next to his wife who's denied him sex the third time this week, last night. So he has no choice but to get out of his bed and go into the bathroom and beat his 1-inch penis to lesbian porn. He tiredly gets ready for work, starts driving there early, but still gets there late because of the shitty traffic. So now at this point he's like definitely pissed off, right? He goes into work, clocks in just a little bit late, right? And he sighs as he opens up the first document he has to process today. That is your college application. And this man is an admissions officer at your dream school. Not to say that all AOs have small penises. Just go with that for now. So you put your heart and your soul into this application, and you've been working on it for about a few weeks now, right? Maybe like several weeks. But in reality, it took about your 4 years of high school to make that application a thing, reality, right? And this man will review your application and make a decision about you in just 30 minutes. As he reads your application, his stomach begins to rumble a little bit. He's hungry. And he's pissed knowing that lunch break is in 3 hours. He has to wait 3 hours before he can go finally have his lunch because he didn't have enough time to have his breakfast this morning. And all of a sudden, as he's reading your essays, all the problems that he's facing in his life, all the difficulty and the shit that pisses him off, being late to work, not being able to have sex with his wife, at least for now, waking up early, he didn't get enough sleep last night. It all comes and rushes into his mind. And all of a sudden, your application transforms into a piece of shit right before his eyes. And a few months later, you get your decision in the mail. And you gather your family and everyone to open that decision, right? And you're all excited, nervous for your dream school decision. You got rejected. So if you are in high school right now, you are probably stressing about college applications and admissions coming up in your life, right? If you're like a freshman, it's a bit farther away from you, but it's probably something you're still thinking about, right? And I just want to tell you, you are an absolute retard for worrying about it. Don't worry though, I was also a retard too. I applied to as many top 20 schools as I could because that was my main goal, to get into a top 20, preferably top 10 university. And I'll glaze myself a little bit here. My application was absolutely cracked. But I didn't get into a top 20 or anything. I got into a top 30 university, which I currently attend. But even then, being here made me realize how much of a scam these elite universities are, and why you should just literally just go to a cheaper, shittier college for the degree instead of wasting tons of money on like a prestigious liberal arts education, right? So I'm reminding you that you high schoolers should not give a fuck about rejection from these fuck-ass schools because it's all bullshit. So first, I want to talk about holistic reviews. This is absolutely the dumbest shit ever invented in the history of academia because college applications are no longer about how hard you worked or what you achieved in high school, but rather how much the AO vibes with you. Do you get that? I feel so terrible for all the high schoolers that I've seen application maxing for 4 years, trying to get like the best activities, the best research here in this fucking university, in this other university, doing volunteering at this fucking shelter, doing shit everywhere to impress the AOs instead of doing useful stuff like building muscle and making money, just to get rejected by their dream school, or like basically all the top schools they applied to, just because the AO didn't vibe with them. Because I think if I knew this, I probably would have spent so much more time in the gym trying to build muscle, right? Making money, creating a business and stuff, trying to play sports, attract women, building my testosterone. I would have spent more time doing all of these things instead of trying to excel on the SAT and the ACT, which I did, but the time was spent, right? Getting the best grades in my class and even volunteering at places I didn't even actually give a fuck about. I think I volunteered so much at so many random places for so many hours that I feel scammed that I wasn't paid for any of it. So I'm just telling you this from my own experience. Please do not waste these amazing years of your life that you have so much potential for self-development, self-improvement, and growth, and building wealth, like actual wealth, not like some fucking job, right? Just for these fucking scam schools who only accept you if they're underpaid AO, who probably isn't on self-improvement. He probably scrolls on TikTok and goons, is in a good mood and likes you. Why do you give a fuck if that guy likes you? Fuck that guy. Like I showed you earlier, he could just be having a bad day and that's the reason you got rejected, right? It's actually a real thing. It's called the hungry judge effect, I think. And that's basically a phenomenon, like a philosophical, brain phenomenon thing that makes us human, right? Some researchers did a study and they found that judges are more likely to give harsher punishments before lunch than after lunch, because they're hungry and stuff. So they're a little bit more pissed off, at the day and stuff that's going on. And because of that, they give harsher punishments. This is exactly what could be happening in college admissions too. Like the guy could just be having a bad day and his brain, just because he's human, he ends up taking it out on you and you get rejected. So you shouldn't get hurt by rejection from these people. The hell? I know that so many of you still watching this video will probably continue to glaze these top universities, and I understand because I also did it for such a long time, and it was kind of hard not to do it because we've all been so brainwashed by society, our parents, who believe this as well, and our teachers who have made us believe that the better school you attend, the more successful and wealthy you'll be in the future, which is not true. I think Andrew Tate said something like this. But if you see a jacked dude walking out of a Lamborghini, your first thought won't be, oh, he went to some Ivy League or top 20 school. You won't be thinking that. You'll just know that he found some way to make money that is a little bit more unorthodox and unconventional. And you can give the argument oh, Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates went to Harvard. But they're not rich because they went to Harvard. They're rich because of their fucking businesses. Once their businesses took off, they didn't give a fuck about Harvard, so they dropped out, right? They dropped out in sophomore year, I think. And I'm pretty sure, you can research this yourself. I'm not actually sure. This is just what I think, what I strongly believe probably happened. Harvard is probably the only entity that got richer because Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg went to Harvard, right? Because now they're going to use their notable alumni to make you want to go there. And now you'll apparently feel bad for not getting in because it shows that you can never be as wealthy or successful as Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates, which is just not fucking true. You can still get rich with an associate's degree from some shitty local community college. You can get rich without a college degree because it was never about the degree. It's all about how hard you work and what you work on, of course, as well, right? Preferably a good business. That determines how much money you make. And don't even get me started on these prestigious liberal arts universities where you have to pay $60K a year just to take some class called The Art of Gooning or something. If you do want a college degree just in case, like me, right? You're better off going to some local, kind of shittier ranked, but local, easier college that is willing to give you tons of scholarships and financial aid so you can still go there and get a degree. And also, along with the aid, the classes at these local shitty colleges are usually easier. So you get an easier degree and you can spend less time studying for these classes. So you can allot more time towards building a business and improving your physique, which is also very important for your life quality. It's not like you should spend your whole day studying for this bullshit test on the fucking Art of Gooning and doing your 500-page homework for it. Because at the end of the day, you still get that sentence on your resume with your college degree, BS, BA, whatever, right? You still get that sentence at the end of the day. The only difference is the school name, which is a very minor difference once you actually think about it. And you saved tons of money by just going to that local college. And you saved tons of time with your life as well. This is actually exactly what I plan to do with my education so I can spend more time, on my self-improvement, my business, my health, my physique, all of that together. Okay, last thing. If you want to get a high-income job, right? If you really want to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, maybe investment bank or something like that, right? Then I can kind of understand why you would want to go to these prestigious schools, because name value is kind of important in this whole corporate workplace thing where they look at your resume and they're impressed by the name of the school you went to, right? So I can kind of understand that. But I still think my point kind of stands. Because nowadays, don't employers care a little bit more about experience than the school you went to? Like, let's say if two candidates had the same experience, one went to Harvard, one went to their state school, the Harvard one would look better, right? But if the Harvard guy had less experience than the guy that went to the state school, then the state school guy would look better, right? So that just shows that experience always mattered more. So even in your situation, when you think about all the trade-offs like the tuition, the time investments, the time you could spend doing things for your own quality of life as well, I would probably still say, fuck the expensive prestigious school. You can still go to the local school. Okay, actually, honestly, the first thing that I would probably say, since you're on my channel, is fuck the job. You should just go start a business to make money. And business is absolutely for everyone. Everyone who says business is not for everyone is a weak little bitch. And personally, I think it's very difficult to find a job so good that it's called your dream job. But still, if you do have a dream job, my honest advice is still you should probably go to the state school, the local school that's cheaper and will give you more aid. And it's a little bit more easier, right? Like lighter workload, so you can spend more time doing other ways of making money, trying to do business on the side if you really are up for it. And also getting a shit ton of experience. When you're at like a school with easier academics, easier workload, you have like an open window of time that you can spend to get so much more work experience. Doing that stuff will actually impress the employer. He'll be like super impressed by all the stuff that you've done, right? Instead of wasting time taking useless classes like fucking Austrian poetry or something. This video won't change your life. You will.